There you go.
All right, you want to talk Nakato at 62 points or Dan Hollins at 87 points?
Welcome to the Rugby Rant podcast show, your premier North American rugby podcast. Growing rugby, one fan at a time.
And welcome back, Rugby Rant fans. It's the Rugby Rant. It's the big guy, Scott Ferrara. It's the Hammer, Rob Hammerschmidt. We're at episode 114, and I'm kind of fired up today. I got to be honest. We had a great weekend of rugby, Rob. I mean, we had repechage, but our tournament playing Hong Kong, the Portuguese slotting out Kenya 88-0, I believe.
Yeah.
You had the women's final in the World Cup, which was a great friggin' match that came down to the wire.
Absolute nail biter. Came down to Portia Woodman. What she gets knocked out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a yellow card or a red card. Then her replacement comes in and scores the winning try.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was an insane. You had collegiate teams. You had MLR things going on. I mean, it's just been insane. We've just had a really, really good weekend of rugby, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about it on Around the Pitch. So, Rob, we're gonna let you hit off your first topic with Around the Pitch. What you got for us?
Well, you mentioned collegiate rugby. A slate of great matches have happened over the last couple of weeks. For those that have been paying attention, Indiana, Luke Gross-led team beat Ohio State, an absolute nail biter as well, 22-20. So they won the Big Ten. And keep in mind that this was without Will Chevalier and Noah Brown, two studs who are playing over in Hong Kong, playing in this with the U.S. men's. Navy beat St. Bonnie's 28-8. That's pretty significant in the D1A landscape. Another interesting one, Davenport beat Lifeview 2 weekends ago, 23-10. And that's significant. They have ended a 20-game drought to life. So that's of significance. Navy beat Army 27-14. So last year's national champions went down not only to Navy, but also to Lindenwood this last weekend in a big score, 36-7. It was a replay of the semifinal from last year's national championship. It certainly sets up a great matchup this upcoming week. By the time this drops, you'll still have an opportunity to watch. In a chilly Grand Rapids, Michigan, it's LU traveling to Davenport. There's some significant, skin in the game in the Mid-South. So stay tuned, folks. If you're not paying attention to college rugby, you should be.
And if you aren't paying attention to the Rugby Rant bingo card, you can check off that Rob's reference to LU. The second thing I want to say about that is Go Navy, beat Army. Sing second, love when Navy beats Army. But I'm coming at you with it's Thursday night. It's Monday night now. We're recording this episode's now out on Thursday. The MLR schedules have come out. Oh baby, me and Rob are already making plans, and you can catch us next Thursday. Is our topic for the rant next Thursday? Not tonight. Next Thursday is going to be breaking down some of those schedules, and I can't wait. I know for a fact that what they're going to do is they're going to have home and aways against your conference opponents, and you're going to play everybody in the other conference at least once. Whether it's home away is yet to be decided until this schedule comes out.
And as of Monday night, I can only hope that New Orleans is coming up to Chicago to play the new team, whatever that may be, and hopefully we'll know again by the time this airs what the new team's name is and if that indeed will happen.
April 4th. It'll be April 4th in Chicago. That's what
that one I can do. It just can't be May 5th because my guy graduates. My guy graduates. That would be a problem.
Big P, little hammer. Huh? Look at that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to take the next one. Again, within the slate of all these international games, the Women's World Cup, with these collegiate matches that are happening, that are setting up the NCR finals happening in Houston in December. We had the Midwest Championships. So real quick, D1 men's Griffins over the Bombers. I was there for this match, and it was absolutely what you would want to see in a club, championship match. It's a back and forth affair. It was fun to see, and I know guys on both sides of the ball. So I was particularly taken by this match. Then, of course, you had the D1 women's, the Valkyries pulled it off. Congratulations to them. And I'm going to give a big shout out to the Chicago Blaze Rugby Club and their defeat over the East Side Banshees, 32-10. My guy, Jake Reed, a kid I coached in high school, put on an absolute show with 2 tries at number 8. I think this is the first time in 25 years that the Chicago Blaze have won the Midwest Championship. The last time they did it, yours truly was playing lock, as a matter of fact, for the team. All right, had to get that one in there. Women's Milwaukee Skyla beat Detroit 71-22. D3 men's Detroit over Chicago Riot 64-22. Women's D3 Festival, the East over the West 27-0. And in D4 action, Red River over the Flint Rogues 59-5. Congratulations to all those teams that were victorious, and we'll see you guys in the spring for what should be a fun national championship run.
Awesome. Gotta love it. I'm going out to our neighbors in the North, Rugby Canada, the men's side. Played the Netherlands for the first time ever in their history playing each other. Canada squeaks out a win, 37-25. The reason I say squeaks out, the first 10 minutes were a little iffy. Netherlands were dominating, had dominated the opening scrum. And, kind of showed something. And I think it was just a case of Canada getting back on their feet. At the end, Netherlands did score 2 tries as they put in their reserves, but Canada came and won the day. Interestingly enough, this is weird. The Netherlands had a yellow card. Their winger collapsed a maul. I mean, how many times do you have wingers collapsing mauls and getting carded for it? I just found that to be very interesting.
Should we just tell wings to stay in their lane from now on?
Like, honestly, don't know why he was in the maul in the first place, to be honest,
right.
When you see it. Even if he's on the short side or whatever, like, just play back and get ready just in case you lose it for a kick, I would say. But yeah, it was weird. But anyway, guys, really, really good rugby this weekend, really good topics. And we're going to hit you with a really good rant with one of our favorite ranters right after these words.
Tighthead Brewing Company is not just Chicago's premier location to watch rugby and enjoy quality ales and lagers. It is also a great place to enjoy local acts performing live music every Thursday and Saturday nights. Additionally, their Wednesday night trivia nights are something not to be missed. Tighthead is located in Mundelein, Illinois, and easily accessible for many Chicagoans, as it is just steps away from the metro. Owner Bruce Durr and the Tighthead staff are dedicated to ensure your microbrew experience is as tight as their beers. Bruce's love for rugby extends beyond the origin of his brewery's name. Tighthead is committed to supporting the rugby community. This includes his support for Lake County RFC and our own Rugby Rant podcast show. Tighthead's tap room is like the familiar rugby clubhouse in which friends and teammates can meet, socialize, and enjoy the wide variety of brews on tap. Regardless of whether your palate enjoys a good IPA or a dark barrel-aged brew, Tighthead can deliver. Hey, Chicago, when you want rugby, Tighthead Brewing Company will satisfy your thirst. Tighthead, it's worth more than a try.
And welcome back, Rugby Rant fans. You got the big guy, you got the hammer, and we have one of our favorite ranters in the house. First of all,
he's spicy. Can we just start that off? This guy is spicy.
Hashtag Feisty Fee is here today. David Fee. Welcome back, brother.
Thanks, guys. Great to be back. Always a pleasure, and looking forward to it.
Dude, when we have Fee on, he's always dropping knowledge. He's always sparring with me and Hammer. We love it. This has to be his 7th or 8th appearance, I think.
Yeah, and we like to, we're jock sniffers at heart, so we just have to, do that on occasion. I mean, look at all those jerseys in the background,
dude. I'm so jealous.
I mean, I bought mine, but he actually got his on the pitch or after at least the game was done.
Oh man!
Again, during COVID, I was able to remodel the basement, so here we are.
Yeah, I mean, it's way cooler than me. All the friggin' kit I haven't worn. He's actually worn those or traded for those in a game. Me, I'm lucky if I have the same underwear from college that I was using to play. Anyway, We're going to talk. We're going to rant a little bit about a topic that we haven't talked about kind of in a few weeks, and that's the USA Eagles playing in the repechage tournament in Dubai. We had recently USA beating Hong Kong 49-7. Prior to that, they played Kenya, and I believe it was 58-14. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll have to check americasrugbynews.com to double check that. But we're going into a match with Portugal. That's a do or die match for us to get us into the Rugby World Cup and get us in that last America's 2 position. That's coming up tomorrow. We record this on Monday. This comes out on Thursday. The game is on Friday because God forbid they gave us a Saturday game in this pivotal one. Instead of the Friday.
Can I just talk about that for a minute? Because Fee and I were pretty close mates, and in a group chat we go back and forth. And Dave's like, "Hey, let's everybody get together at 10:15 in the morning to watch the USA play at the Chicago Blaze and play on Friday morning." And I go, "Hey, that's awesome, but some of us actually have to show up for work every day instead of." Do paperwork if we can at our house and maybe move around our schedule a little bit and, slack off on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Good thing my boss doesn't watch this.
Dude, that'd be hysterical. Dave's just going to get called right into work. What are you doing? But seriously, folks, kind of pissed off. Everybody knew this was going to be the match that it was going to kind of come down to. But really, let's recap the matches. So 2 weeks ago, again, we're talking about the match against Kenya, and we're going to start it off with Fee. Fee, how'd you like that match? How did USA do? What could they work on? What do you think they can continue to do to beat Portugal from that first match?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot there. Basically they came out and they handled business, right? I mean, they did what they needed to do, put up a lot of points. I think they scored 17 tries in the 2 games. I think they were darn near 100% on their scrums, 100% in their lineouts. I think Portugal did a little bit better than that. I think they had 19 tries and put up a little bit more in the points differential. But we knew it was going to come down to this last one. And I think, the Portuguese are going to be a lot like the Chilean game. And so, as well as the Eagles did in those first 2, they're going to have to be spot on. There was a lot of opportunities that I think they left on the board. And those are going to be the moments and the opportunities that they're not going to be able to put away, against the Portuguese team. They're going to be much faster, much more competitive at the breakdown, much better in their set piece. So, those are possessions that we're going to have to be solid on. I thought it was great that we got a lot of guys opportunities. Young Corey Daniel, that back rower, Fana Schultz, I thought played well. Young Helu played well. So that back row stayed together. And we were able to get guys minutes. I know the front row changed a little bit. And if you remember back to that Chilean series, getting guys off the bench will prove valuable. So the fact that we were able to get a lot of guys minutes, a lot of guys times, and again, just more cohesion together. But at the end of the day, we knew it was going to come down to Saturday, this Portuguese game, and I'm backing our boys, and I think they'll get it done.
I think you're right. I think they are going to come in on point, and what we saw between the 2 matches is, especially up front a little bit, is some changes in the starting lineups. But I think a lot of these players are interchangeable. They're interchangeable when they're coming in and playing test matches. They're interchangeable when they're coming in and playing meaningful tournaments like this repechage tournament to get us in. And the good part about it is you don't have to start guys and give them hard minutes, especially in teams that you are going to beat by a large margin. You can get guys some playing time. And that's kind of what we saw a little bit in Hong Kong. You saw some guys switch on and off. Dylan Fawcett had a big shift that first match. I mean, I think he scored a hat trick in the first 50 minutes. And then second match in Hong Kong, guess what? He's a reserve. No big deal. Pifaletti comes in. He plays great in that great, amazing scrum. And you give the guys meaningful minutes. You give the guys meaningful rest to come together and say, all right, who's going to have the best week of practice? Who's going to be our starting hooker for Portugal? And knowing that even if your starting hooker isn't maybe up to snuff when he's on the pitch, you can make that change at halftime, and all of a sudden you got almost a new team. Hammer, what are your thoughts about the first 2 matches?
Well, first of all, I had a little bit of a concern early on in the Kenya match because I think it was at the 20-minute mark that we scored the first try and put points on the board. So, and that was indeed Dylan Fawcett from the back of a maul. The concern there is you think that a team like the United States versus a team like Kenya the United States would be able to score a little bit quicker. I think they got frustrated in those first 20 minutes until they got their score under the belt. And once they got that, I think the team got rolling a little bit, and that was good to see. I definitely like the fact that they were kind of forced into playing some of their younger players. Remember, I think it's been said that collectively, in order to win a World Cup, and I'm under no illusions that the United States, that I believe they're going to win a World Cup. It would be good to see them get out of pool play. I think that's got to be the goal. But to be competitive, you've got to have something like, I think it's 350 caps collectively on your team. So, it is nice to be able to, this repechage tournament against a team like Kenya, to get some of those young guys caps. And again, I really thought Corey Daniel played particularly well in the Kenya game. It was good to see him get quality minutes in both these two games. That being said, moving on to Hong Kong, it was kind of a trap game, right? Because you're expected to beat the snot out of Hong Kong, in spite of the fact they're number 24 in the world rankings versus, USA at number 19. So you expect to win, but I just was hoping, like, let's score early and slowly keep the scoreboard ticking over, slowly accumulate points, and just continue to gain confidence. And that was the one thing that I think they were able to do in the Kenya match is, I think they scored at the 12-minute mark and the first try with Jamison. And then they slowly built the lead. So it was 28-0 at half. And that was the other piece that I took away from that Hong Kong match. Yes, I realize that Hong Kong is a better opponent is not as good of opponent as Chile, but we were up 19-0 against Chile, I think, at the 25-minute mark. And then we gave up that game in Glendale. And so it was good to see them actually put away a team and not let the nerves kind of get to them and slowly build the lead and have continued success throughout the game.
And I wonder, it seems to me, and this is just my opinion looking at things, sometimes USA starts off slow when they're traveling to play somewhere. I don't know why. To me, that seems like a preparation thing, and it drips down from the top. And maybe that's a knock on, coaching staff and people up there, and then it's dripping down. And here's the kicker. What you said about not closing out games, that comes directly from the top. There's a killer instinct that the top guys have to have outside of the team. The coaching staff, the administrators, to say that we're going to play hard-nosed rugby for 80 friggin' minutes. There is no stopping. We're going to score at will, and you have to kind of carry it like that. And it's just interesting to me that you see those two things are kind of always lingering in some of these Eagles teams.
Well, and you mentioned it coming from the top down, and the coaching staff, Mario Ledesma, Plumtree, in from, Argentina and the All Blacks. I mean, that's a nice addition, and what have we said that these guys really need more of all along? Time, right? And so now they're building a little bit of cohesion. They have a lot of, positive influence coming in, and that's why I think, our guys are primed for it, this weekend.
Okay, Dave, now I don't mean to interrupt, but I think the big guy, dare I say it, has really got a good point here. I got to give credit where credit is due, but I think Dave can provide some perspective. You've had to play in some of those away matches. I know you've played in some like horrible situations just in terms of going away in South America playing. I think you played in Mexico City and you played in some other situations. Just provide the fans who, we're lucky to play D1 or, D2, D4 or D3, or maybe even D2. How difficult is it to get out of, an international competition to play away like that and prepare for an away match?
Well, we'll see what Ty does on the fact checking there, but in the background. But I think, one of the things, you mentioned is these guys are coming together, and, there's a lot of negative talk, on the Reddits of the world, right? I mean, John Cullen's a big Reddit fan. I know he's following it, daily, and then listening to all the banter there. But, there's a lot of
and he watches the show. Just be careful.
So he does watch it. But there's a lot of negativity around the team, and that's something I think that brings these guys together. I mean, I remember in 2003, when we lost to the Uruguayans and the Chileans and had to go to the repechage and do it, it was a lot of negativity, right? I mean, it was unfortunate that we lost to Chile, but those extra games against Spain, I think, really benefited us. And then we went on and had, arguably one of our better World Cups that we've ever had. And,
right.
and this buildup, I think, is good for them. And I think this team is coming together. And again, I think, it's us against the world, and their backs are against the wall. And I think they are coming together. And, again, they did the things they needed to do against Hong Kong and against Kenya to put themselves in a position now against Portugal. So again, I think the guys are coming together as a unit. It's not necessarily a home game for anybody there in Dubai. Right. And so, but the Portuguese are a professional side, and I don't want to take them lightly. I would have expected that we'd beat, Chile as well, with the squad we have. Portugal is going to be faster. They're going to be harder. They're going to be, quicker. They're going to be better tactically kicking. Right. So we're going to have to be better in the penalty area. We'll have to be better, but I still think with everything I'm saying, the time these guys have had together, the additional coaching, and again, those guys coming together over the last month, is going to pay dividends for them.
And can I just say, to your point, David, about it's us against the world perspective from this team, I think that was reflected on Facebook after the Cheetahs game, maybe that they were playing in South Africa. A few people were taking snipes at the scrum half position, and if I'm not mistaken, Cam Dolan had some sharp words in response. Kind of arguing the same thing you did, saying, hey, look, we haven't had much time together. That's what this is about. When we have a proper buildup, when we have a proper preparation process, we perform much better in comparison to the Chiles and the Uruguays, who essentially in their professional game are playing together, for what are the two teams down there? Campania, is it? Yeah. So, I think that's reflected, like, guys on the team are reflecting that frustration that fans are having in regards to their performance as of late.
Yeah, and you add in, some of the turmoil of some of their situations within the MLR, right? And again, this is what they're rallying around, right? They're rallying around this effort. Let's qualify, let's get our country into the World Cup, and then we'll worry about everything else later.
It's funny, we were talking about Dave's preparation and the conditions he might have had to try and prepare in. But correct me if I'm wrong, Dave.
Scott,
hold on. Wait, hold on.
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Didn't you score against Brazil 5 times in Chile? I think it was 03 or 02 on the 7th circuit.
On the 7th circuit, I actually led the tournament in scoring. I had 13 tries.
But didn't you have 5 tries in one match as well?
6.
Is that correct?
Six against Brazil.
I told you we were jock sniffers.
Yeah. And in Chile. So my point is Dave Fee goes out to Chile and properly plans and performs, being the top try scorer. No, but seriously, I think one of the things that I like to see that was leading up to this tournament was the fact that they did split that Falcon squad, and that one Falcon squad that was in South America was all young guys that were being blooded. And what have me and Rob said on the show thousands of times? The reason France is up to where they are is because 2 years ago, they said, screw the Six Nations. We're going to start blooding our younger guys earlier to get them experience and get up to that 350 cap team level, so that by the time the World Cup rolls around and we're hosting it, all those guys are now the best in the world. And what are we seeing? We're seeing them do just that, right? So obviously not the thing you want to do, I would per se, coming up into a World Cup year. Right. But if you can split a squad and have these guys, and let's be honest, that Falcons B side, we'll call them, in South America, got lambasted. But guess what? They got valuable minutes, valuable experience, and they did put up some points. So I think we're starting to show that we can get things done and still move forward.
And to the point earlier that I think both you guys hit upon in one way or another, isn't there value in and of itself by taking a group of young guys to South America, to some places that we know we're going to have to travel to in 2027 or in the preparation for 2027 and 2031 in order to, we'll qualify in 2031 automatically as soon as we get the bid. But nevertheless, in 2027, we're going to have to play some of those countries. We're going to have to play some hostile environments. And there's value in bringing some of those guys into that environment so they know what kind of expectations lay ahead of them and they can mentally, prepare for that process.
100%.
Exactly. So going back to the past 2 matches, obviously our set pieces have been doing well. Obviously, the scrum has just been dominant. Will it be dominant? It's going to be dominant against the Lobos in Portugal. That remains to be seen. You have to realize, again, you talk about time. How long has this Portuguese team been playing together? I know their 9-10 combination, I believe, has been playing for quite a long time. And I think their back 3 have also been playing together for quite a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say, that Portuguese team this year, I think, they lost to Italy 38-31, which that Italian team obviously went on and, did some great things this past weekend against Australia. They've played the Georgians, they've played some good games together, to your point, Scott. And that's why they're going to be a formidable opponent for sure.
And even to take that one step further, if you look at what happened with Portugal against Kenya this last weekend, I mean, that Manuel Cardoso Pinto, I mean, he sliced through that, opposition defense of Kenya's like a hot knife through butter. I mean, it was impressive. Now, that may not be the same defense that's the U.S. are going to put up against him. But my concern about this upcoming match on Friday is the fact that we saw what a sharp Chilean fullback could do to the defense when they're not cohesive and when they're not, tuned in. I mean, they have the ability to really carve up the defense. So that's a guy that that if I'm Gary Gold, I'm telling the boys, hey, let's put a marker on him.
Definitely. Yeah. I think. I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Scott.
I think, and I've been saying this now for the past couple of matches, and this isn't a knock on Paul Mullen, but he needs to bring that snarling. I haven't seen it recently. I don't know why. I mean, I want the Paul Mullen who's going to slap the opposing prop and then beat the shit out of him in every scrum. I want him snarling and foaming at the mouth because we need to play smash mouth. We need to grind them down, and by this time the second half comes, we need their will to be on the field, not to be there. And Paul Mullen
just can't throw the guy's shoe away.
Listen, that was kind of funny. I got to be honest. Everybody was like, "Oh, it's poor rugby form," but let's be honest. Out of all the things you could do, that's poor rugby form. It was kind of funny. But I got to be honest, and that's not a knock on his playing style or him not giving 100%. He has dialed it back, and I think it's because he doesn't want to get into disciplinary issues. That makes sense. But I think this is one of those times where you kind of got to throw caution to the wind and ride that line between I'm coming in hard and I'm coming in clean, but I'm coming in hard and clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I imagine he'll be paired the way he was for Hong Kong, with Pifoletti and Ianu, as opposed to with Fawcett and the Old Glory Ascaro, right? So I'm anticipating it'll be that. I think the lineups will be posted tomorrow, but I imagine it'll be Ianu and Pifoletti with Mullen, who's been in that 3 jersey, in that front row. And we'll see how they front up against, what will be a very strong, Portuguese scrum.
I mean, I think they match up very well. I mean, we know that they can play as a unit up front. For all the talk about playing time and this and the other thing, the 6 guys that they really are using in the rotation in 1, 2, and 3 have played together a lot on the Eagles. So while maybe they haven't played recently together prior to this run up, they do know each other. I mean, they do play on the Eagles. They do go to camps together. So I do think that sometimes we talk about not playing together cohesively is due to timing. But I think in especially the tight 5, because you have guys like, Cam Dolan's up there. You have Greg Peterson up there. You have CeCe Mahoney up there. Those combinations of players have been playing together for a while now. So I think it's more in our 9, 10 in our backs as we have these young guys in. That's more of the issue.
Yeah, the difference between then and 2003 is our guys had to go back and be teachers and carpenters, and now these guys get to go back and train and be actual rugby players. So it's a little bit of a difference, but yeah,
absolutely. And I mean, if you watch Paul Mullen's social media, the dude's like running up mountains like Rocky and shit. It's insane. I love that dude. So we're going into Portugal. Was it 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central, or 10:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern, AM Friday morning. Going to be on TRN. I believe we've all been happy with the coverage so far. Let's just cut a little comment on that. You guys agree TRN has been good coverage?
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that's been a little bit shocking for me as I watch is that pitch, that stadium in Dubai is a class stadium. They host the Sevens tournament, but it's pretty clear that it's not really a great pitch for 15s. Like, it's taken some serious abuse because of the scrummaging component and some of the set piece play that it probably is not accustomed to getting in a seven series tournament. So I was a little bit shocked about just how much of the turf was coming up, and will that impact? I mean, they can always move the scrum, but will that impact, play a little bit and the ability for a stronger scrummaging team to get some leverage.
Well, let's ask the guy who's done this.
I was going to say the fact that it's an empty stadium is, it's just odd, right? I mean,
it is odd.
And just nobody there. Not that there was many people watching, in a lot of the games, when we were playing, but just to have, literally no crowd, it seems a tad odd, right?
It does, but you do hear people in the crowd, so I wonder if it's just
just on one side,
just camera placement,
There you go.
Yeah.
So that could be it. They just can't put the cameras on the other side, and they sold tickets on this side. And it probably has to do with which way the shade comes over on that stadium. Because let's be honest, you want to be in the hot sun in Dubai all day, regardless of the season,
right?
Watching a couple matches. So honestly, that's a good question. Do you, now not knowing anything about grass and not being a gardener, you think they probably have to overwater that grass because of the climate, and now it's going to affect the scrums? That's an interesting look. I actually didn't think about that, and I'm the guy who always talks about scrummaging. So good.
Yeah, and I bet they have like a sand base underneath it,
right.
so it probably is getting chewed up a little bit. And as Hammer's saying, seeing the scrums. The nice thing is that it's not like the scrums are always in the exact same spot, right? So they move around.
So one thing I wanted to talk about, we were talking about conversions, talk about kicking prior to this. We were talking about AJ McGinty specifically because Hammer was just hitting me with stuff because when Dave's feisty, Hammer's feisty, and I got to deal with him like two little children. But I think what are we going to need to do here? Are we going to take the points if we can get them, or are we going to try and overpower the Portuguese with our set piece? What would you guys, going into this, what would your game plan be?
I think every point's going to count. So I think we take them at every point we get. I think penalties will come into this. The Portuguese, much like the South American teams, are going to be phenomenal kickers. So if we are ill-disciplined, if Mahoney does decide to, go clear somebody out and, we come down to, 14 guys, God forbid. I mean, we're going to be up against it. So we're going to have to be incredibly sharp just around the breakdowns and being smart with our penalty count because, again, these guys will pin the corners and put, points in anywhere in our half. So we'll have to be incredibly disciplined. But I do think, AJ will take points for us too. Every point's going to, is going to count as we saw in those Chilean games. And I expect us to take points if we have a chance for
it. Bonus points for tries don't matter, right? Because at this juncture, it's who wins and, who's going to be the winner. That's going to determine who's through and who is going to sit at home in 2023. So quite frankly, I think you take the points when you can get them. You keep the scoreboard ticking over because quite frankly, I think for the United States, that adds confidence if they can build up, 3, 6, 9, 12, put a try in there. That'll give them confidence moving forward. And that's what the USA needs, moving into the second half. If they can be on top of the scoreboard in the second half and keep this on top of the scoreboard in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the second half, I think that'll be super helpful for the United States.
Definitely. I agree. I think we kick if we had the chance. Although when they ran that fake maul to Dylan Fawcett, it was just very effective. And they've run that against better competition where it's been effective. So I think if you can utilize that with Piffoletti as well, I think Piffoletti can run that play very well as well. So maybe it's one of those instances where you get a couple mauls to keep them honest, and then you run that fake maul end around play to the 2 coming up that gap and, scoring a try when you need it most. I think we got to rely on some of those plays.
Well, and don't you know, like in between the half mark and the 40, if you get a penalty out on the edges of that, don't you say, all right, let's kick for touch and try the rolling maul and try to put a try in there. But if we get points in front where we know, we're going to get them and it's not going to sail wide and we're going to, it's going to deflate us because we missed an opportunity to put more points up. I think that's where you start to make the decisions. Where the penalties happen, we're on the pitch and where do we get opportunities to take easy points versus get an opportunity to put one in the corner and get that rolling maul going and put, even bigger points up.
Well, it'll be situational too, right? I mean, if we're chasing the game and then we're going to have to be going for it. And, again, bringing in guys like Mario Ledesma, I would anticipate, and Scott nailed it. Our maul has looked good, but it's looked good against Hong Kong and Kenya to date. And I just think, Portugal is going to offer a much tougher challenge.
Oh, I absolutely think they're going to offer a tougher challenge. But like I said, I think it's more of, if you want to put it in football terms, you run the ball, then you run the play action, right? So keep them honest to say, we know we're strong in this. We think we could beat you in this. And then we run that quick pop pass back to the hooker. And all of a sudden, maybe there's some room, or maybe the hooker gets it out wide. Because I got to be honest, when you're talking about the USA Eagles, Piffaletti and Dylan Fawcett can throw skip passes that you wouldn't believe. I mean, I've seen Dylan Fawcett throw behind the back passes. I've seen him throw through the legs passes that are going for tries. And Piffaletti has the same passing ability. So it's not always just take the ball and run up forward. These guys now have the ability to do things that can generate electric plays. So real quick, we'll go around the horn, start with Dave, then Robin, give our opinion what the scoreline is going to be. Dave.
Ooh, scoreline 31-22 Eagles.
31-22 Eagles. I like that. 53-point total. That's not bad. I like that. Rob?
31-27 Eagles.
I like that too. I think we're going to need to score those points. We're going to need to get up there. I don't think it's going to be that 10-17 kind of match. I think both teams are going to be really looking for points whenever they can, so they're going to be scoring. If I was a bookmaker, this would be a -7 to Portugal. A lot of the tier 2 fans worldwide online are saying Portugal's going to steamroll the Eagles. I got to be honest, that's what the talk is, especially early on after that 88-0 beating. I do think, as a little counter to that, sometimes the United States does not necessarily run their offense to score all the time, versus when they're up by a lot, they take some situational things to practice on in the game. That seems to be my opinion, based on some of the actions they take, where you're like, why don't they just go for points there? Why don't they just try have the foresight to go for a try? They kind of take it situationally when they're up by a lot, versus just scoring like the Portuguese did. I do think USA is going to win. I think it's going to be slight. I think it's going to be a 28-25 match. And man, this is going to be a fun one. I don't know. My boss is not going to be happy with me as I'm screaming in my office like a madman. I'm going to have to put my AirPods on. I'm going to have to lock my door. I'm going to have to put my shade down on my window, because my boss has done that where he's looked through the window before, because I'm on the ground floor. So this is going to be really exciting. Again, TRN. Great coverage so far. We've gotten to watch a lot of great matches, a lot of great rugby from the USA Eagles. Can't wait. Man, I love this game. I love this sport. This is what it comes down to. I'm getting the tingles just thinking about this match and what it means for us to get to the World Cup. I believe the only World Cup we have missed as a men's Eagles team is in '95, prior to Dave Fee. And the only Rugby World Cup that the Portuguese have made was in '07. So, we have a track record here of getting there. So let's continue to do so. But guys, thank you so much, Dave. It's always a pleasure having you on the show. Hammer, always a pleasure to do this every week with you. And I'm glad to call you guys friends, because we can bullshit afterwards and talk about how your guys' Bears are kicking the shit out of my guys' Green Bay Packers right now. Take it while you can.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a great win for us right now.
Hey, we beat Dallas. That's all that matters. But anyway, guys, thank you so much again, Dave. Always appreciate it. And we'll see you, rugby fans, at the next one.